Welcome to the It's UATL podcast, your guide to Black culture in Atlanta. I'm Naja Parker.
I'm Deasia Page.
And I'm Nedra Roan.
Hey, girl, hey.
Hello.
Well, y'all know this month is National Black Business Month. So we live in Atlanta. It's a whole bunch of Black businesses here. So what's one of your faves? Deasia?
Well, I'll start first.
Go right ahead.
I would say Moods Music off of Euclid in Little Five Points. It's a record store owned by Daryl Harris, a very popular record store in Atlanta. He also opened a new location in downtown. Now it's called Crates ATL. So, I like to collect my vinyl records. So that's one of the places that I do frequent. And also, I think Tyler, the Creator, frequents Moods Music as well.
Okay.
He was spotted recently. Okay. So that's mine. But what about you all?
So mine is called Souk Bohemian. It is a Black-owned, woman-owned, queer-owned lifestyle brand in Ponce City Market. It was founded in 2016 and is co-owned by best friends and creative partners Vanessa Core Vernon and Morgan Ashley Bryant. So they have items that include candles, clothing that is, to me, how do I want to put it? It's very modern, but still has a little ethnic chic. That's what I'm gonna call it. I just made that up.
Ethnic chic.
Yes, I made that up. But and they may not advertise like that, but that's what I'm calling it. So anyway, I just like being in there. It's very nice. It smells good. People are friendly, and the clothing is beautiful. So
Love it.
yeah.
Well, mine is coffee related.
Oh, yes.
I love Portrait Coffee down in the West End. It's great. My go-to drink is the Aunt Viv latte. And if you are wondering if it's inspired by the beloved character from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, it is. So the website says it blends their house-made brown sugar, syrup, cinnamon, and cardamom into a latte that's going to give you the boost that you need. And it's also really cute in there as well. They have all these portraits throughout the coffee shop that are taken by Black photographers. And it's a good place to get your work done. They sell some candles as well and some merch and a lot of odes to Atlanta figures like Outkast. So if you need a pick-me-up, I would recommend Portrait. Yeah. All right, ladies. For this week, we'll be sitting down with content creator Reesa Teesa. Plus, we'll tell you why we can't stop thinking about Married at First Sight. But first, it's time for the rundown of Black culture news in ATL and beyond making headlines. And we're a little entertainment heavy this week, but I think that's okay. Okay? And I don't think I even needed to say that, but it's there in the document, but we're going to keep it going. So I'm up first. Guess who has a Barbie?
Barbie.
Drum roll, please. Miss Whitney Houston.
Okay.
Yes. It's about time.
Yeah. It's been 20 years in the making. They were thinking about creating a Barbie for Whitney Houston before she died, and it is finally here. And it is inspired by her pop era from the 80s. So the Barbie has the look from I Want to Dance with Somebody.
Yes.
And it's out just in time for her 63rd birthday, or what would have been her 63rd birthday, which was on August the 9th. The Barbie was unveiled recently at the 5th annual Legacy of Love Gala hosted by the Whitney E. Houston Legacy Foundation in Atlanta. And it does something for children, I believe.
Help the children.
I think it helps the kids.
The children are our future.
The children.
As she said.
That's what they say.
She said in her song.
She said it in her song. Yes. The gala does raise money to support young people from underserved communities.
Well, I'm excited about this.
Me too.
You all know or may recall that my trip to Seattle, was it 2-3 years ago? I found a Black Barbie doll that was part of the United Nations collection. So way back in the 80s, I think it came out. And I bought it, and that spurred me to start collecting Black Barbie dolls. So I'm very excited that I now have a Whitney Houston doll.
To add to the collection.
To add to my collection.
I didn't know you collected Black Barbie dolls.
I literally just started like 3 weeks ago, or 3 years ago. Yeah, when I saw that one.
Yeah, interesting.
Yes.
So how many do you have?
I'm going to say about 7.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. I try not to just be like, oh, let me just get one just because. But I get the ones that really, appeal to me. And like I said, that one in Seattle, just for some reason, it was just the only little black Barbie out
Aw.
there. And I was like, I have to get her.
It needs a home.
She needed a home.
Yeah.
She needs to come home with me. So, yes, when I go to thrift stores or whatever, I always look for one.
I'm excited about this one too. I used to collect Barbies, and I'm being hesitant with it because it was really my mom's project through me. So she said, here are some Barbies for your collection, aka my collection. Don't open them. You can't play with them. Let them stay in the box.
Right.
So this, if I really cared and was passionate about collecting Barbies, is something I would add. I think we talked about this before. I have the Moesha Barbie with the braids that Brandy rocked. But I know Brooke.
Yeah, Brooke is the real
Brooke
collector.
Howard, who wrote this story, she's a Barbie expert. I know she's adding this to her collection.
Yes.
Yeah, this is great. I'm not huge on Barbie, but this is great for Whitney Houston and her legacy. So I love this.
Yeah. What else we got?
Okay, so in politics news, former U.S. Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg, a possible 2028 presidential hopeful, has endorsed gubernatorial candidate Keisha Lance Bottoms. This was a move that AJC politics reporter Greg Bluestein has characterized as his latest move, expanding his footprint in a battleground state ahead of the next White House race. Buttigieg has also backed U.S. Senator John Ossoff's reelection bid. He has campaigned for Sean Harris, the retired U.S. Army officer who is running for the seat once held by Marjorie Taylor Greene. And in his endorsement of Bottoms, Buttigieg said that Bottoms will, quote, stand up to the chaos in Washington and the politicians who put their interests over everyday Georgians. Thoughts? Feelings?
Not surprised.
No?
Yeah.
You're not surprised? Why not?
I mean, yeah, I guess as Greg's piece outlined, he kind of needs to, start getting support in a battleground state like Georgia. And, he wouldn't be endorsing Rick Jackson. That goes against, that's not his party.
Yeah.
But we all know that Black women turn out to vote more than any other demographic. So that may be a part of it.
Yeah.
I bet we'll see more of these announcements as we continue to get closer to November.
That we will.
We just
and other
started.
people traveling through Georgia, right?
Yeah.
Remember Gavin Newsom showed up for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't think of it that way. You're right.
Georgia's hot.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah, right.
Well, I guess we'll stay tuned to November to see what the gubernatorial race looks like.
What
will happen.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
Well, I know one thing. I know my parents love me and stand behind me come what may.
Come on now.
And those are not things that I just know. That's also the lyrics to the Different World theme song, which now has a new voice behind it, and that is Miss Brandy. It was recently announced that she's the latest singer to add her voice to this iconic theme song for the Different World reboot that's obviously premiering on Netflix next month. Now, did you all listen to it?
Yes.
I did.
Thoughts?
She's got some big shoes to fill. Let's just say that.
Well, yeah, because Aretha Franklin did it. Boyz II Men also sang the theme song for the final season as well. So,
but I felt like it was a good effort, right?
I did.
I liked it.
I liked also like the thumping bass line too, and she also Brandy-fied it in a way because you hear like her stacked vocals, the harmonized like ad-libs, the her hushed tone and approach to it. So I appreciate it. At first, it kind of like took me a minute to grow on me, but as I started listening to it more, I appreciated it.
How many times have you listened?
Maybe 3 or 4.
Okay, so I need to give it a few more. I only listened once, and I did, I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't like, it wasn't anything super remarkable, but I do think it's catchy, and I do like her take on the song. So, what about you?
I've listened twice, but maybe a few more times. Brandy's voice, of course, is giving, so that was no surprise. I think the production wasn't what I suspected. It was a bit more boom bap than, we've heard from previous versions of it, and I know that's them keeping up with the times, I guess, making sure it sounds as current as possible. So,
because it's a different world.
Come on now, you got to make it different.
That's what they should have called it.
A different world.
Yeah, it should have been like 2 differents. But whatever.
Well,
I don't know.
we'll stay tuned for A Different World next month.
Well, all right, y'all. It is time to get on to our main segment. All right, so today we have internet sensation and storyteller extraordinaire, Reesa Johnson, who many of us know as Reesa Teesa. A few years ago, she created the viral 50-part TikTok series, Who the F Did I Marry?, where she told the world about her traumatic marriage. It had millions of people glued to the phone for hours, including me.
And me.
Yes, me as well.
But now she has a new memoir coming out called What the F Do I Do Now? Reclaiming Myself One Piece at a Time, which comes out at the end of August. Welcome, Reesa.
Yay, Reesa Teesa's here.
Now, first, what is your preference? Reesa Teesa, Reesa Johnson? How do you like to be referred to?
So typically when it's Reesa related stuff, I usually just let people call me Reesa.
Good, because I love it and I can't stop saying it. That's how I know you.
Yeah.
How did that name come about again?
So Reesa is a variation of my actual name, Teresa. Mm-hmm. And then Teesa is because she's 21 now, but when she was my little cousin, when she was 2, she couldn't say Teresa. So she used to say Teesa. And so she would always be like, cute. Teesa. And so Reesa, y'all, I just threw it together. It worked. And did not know it was going to
it's catchy.
Take off. But yeah, that's
that was some serious branding.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah. Is she wondering like where her credit is? Right?
She is. And every time she's in college, so every time she's like, I really want some Chipotle. I'm like, here you go. There's your credit.
Love it.
Nice.
Love it.
Now, we know all about the saga of your story and what happened online, but tell us about the book and how it came to be. What made you decide to go from a storyteller across social media to writing down your story?
So, first of all, I had always wanted a book. In my mind, I really felt like instead of Who the F Did I Marry being online, it should have been a book. But things, just didn't work out that way because I just had to tell my story on TikTok. Just had to get it out. So once I signed with my agency, pretty much the first thing they said to me was, so where do you want to take this? And I was like, I want to take it on every platform that I can. And the first thing I said was, I really want a book. Well, the idea was, you already told the story, so don't rehash and tell the story in a book form because that's just kind of overkill. Really what it kind of came down to, they initially said, you should do a self-help book. I refused.
Okay.
Like, I was adamant. I am not in a position to self-help nobody. Like, that is not who I am. That doesn't even feel real. But what I did want to do was to write a book that talked about, number one, how I even ended up in the situation I was in, the marriage I was in, and what did I learn from it. I hope that there's someone out there that can learn from my mistake and they don't have to repeat it, because there was a lot of lessons that I ignored leading up to getting married.
The red flags.
Mm-hmm. Like there's a history of red flags that led me to think that God sent my ex-husband when that was not the case. Yeah. So when you write a book, you are going to have to be very honest about the pitfalls and the mistakes that you made. And so it was very raw to really kind of be naked and talk about, dang, like have I always been a pick-me? Like, has that always been my case? And I just disguised it as I want to be married and have a family, when in fact, like, you've been doing anything you can to be in a relationship and make the relationship work, and yet you don't even know you.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how the book came to be.
Wow.
Can you talk a little bit about the difference between telling some of these details in a book in written form versus on TikTok when you were going through segments?
So it's one thing, I say, to tell your story online. It is another thing putting it in writing form. There is something about actually writing out the things that are in your heart, the things that are in your mind, the things that you're fighting with, the things that you are like, I don't want to admit that, but you finally do. And when you put it out, when you write it out, there's something very freeing and very scary about it. And I will tell y'all, because I did do the audiobook, there is something even more. I cried when I did parts of the audiobook because I'm reading out loud some of this stuff I never would have admitted.
Yeah.
Any
loud.
part in particular that stands out as you're saying that really hit you as you were rehashing it?
The part that hits it, it hits the most is there's a part in the book where I talk about I don't know if I'm on the happily ever after list.
Ooh.
Yeah. And so, and I talk about how, perhaps, because I am 41, and I understand that some people, 41 is still young. I'm not saying it's old. It's just, I'm having to accept that every day I'm living a life I never saw coming. If you had said to me, Teresa, you want to get married, you want to have kids, but by the age of 40, you're going to no longer be married and not have kids. It never dawned on me. The most I would have thought was that I would have been a widow. I never thought I would not be married, would not have kids. Yeah. So there is a part where I sometimes struggle with, was that my one chance? And I blew it and I wasted it on this dude. And that's, again, just being real. So real, it's like, I don't know. And I said, I don't know if I'm on the happily ever after list for biological children. Because again, part of me wonders, has the train left the station? Like, yeah, you can have kids in your 50s, but it takes resources to do that. And I don't want to be a single mom. So if I don't even have a partner, it's like, is that really what you want to do? Do you want kids that bad? And the answer is no. I don't want kids that bad.
That's a very real realization, because I think, you mentioned you grew up in the church. I grew up in the church too, and we're like the women especially are socialized to think that marriage is end game and like be fruitful and multiply. Like this is what you're here on earth to do, but that's not the truth. Right. Like we're here to do so many other things besides be a mom and be a wife. But I feel like for women who grew up in the church, it's such a harsh reality when they do face that, because we were told all our life to,
this is what it's supposed to be.
And then even in the book, you mentioned that your mom said something about like, oh, I understand, you want a husband or whatever, but I don't think God made a husband for me. And that kind of reminds me of what you just said now about maybe I'm not on the happily ever after list.
Yeah, my mom she has always been, child, I don't think I'll ever get married. Like and I remember the church that I grew up in, a lot of the women thought, that woman is weird.
Really?
When now, in 2026, that's the norm. Right. And so she was way ahead of her time, but she was like, listen, if God put the desire in your heart for marriage and children, I support you. I just know that's not my walk. And so, it's very interesting to have a mom with that mindset, but you grew up in the church and I grew up in my grandparents' house. So I grew up with a grandmother who was like, don't get a bunch of tattoos, because no one wants to marry a woman with a bunch of tattoos.
So, this sounds so familiar. Yeah. I come home and she's like, don't get another one, please. Don't get another one.
How do you feel like you sort of processed and because you had a very different view than your mom, how do you feel like you processed that at this point?
So younger me thought she was crazy. Absolutely was just like, that's not me. Because my mom would also say, maybe that's not God's will. And I talk about that in the book. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear, maybe that's not God's will for you to get married. The grown woman I am now, I understand certain decisions my mom made the older I get. But when I was younger, I really resented a lot of things. So my thinking now, I've been married. I believe in marriage, but my experience was really bad. I cannot, under any circumstances, afford to repeat that. So the fear runs me a bit more than the hope, if we're just going to keep it real. The fear of, you ain't pay attention to them. After all that, you still ain't pay attention to them red flags, and now look at you. And so, again, if reading in the book, you'll see that there are relationships that's almost like, dad, girl, you ain't learned from that one, so you ended up in this one. You ain't learned from this, now you ended up with this. So, yeah, the thinking now is just more of it's fear-led than it is hope-led.
One thing I really appreciate about your book is that you're clear that you are in the middle of your healing journey and that you haven't figured it all out.
Yeah.
Where are you with your healing journey today? What do you feel like you still need to learn or lean into?
I'm learning in real time how to listen to my intuition instead of listening to my trauma. Because I have a bad history of listening to the trauma part, the anxious attachment part, than I do listening to the intuition part. I'm not as hopeful as I was before all this. And I know some people are like, I get it, girl, I get it. But I hope that healing, I don't push myself to rush it. Because I do think sometimes we live in a society that's like, you still ain't over that? And right. I don't want to ever get into that mindset, because the thing about who the F did I marry that a lot of people I don't think appreciate it, I am not the person I was before that happened. Like, I'm forever different. So healing right now is something where I take it day by day. I'm not pushing myself to be in a relationship. I'm not pushing myself to be some sort of, oh, I figured it all out, y'all. Instead, it's like I feel so much better in owning the fact that I'm just a woman out here who's trying to learn from the mistakes she made and not repeat it and heal herself. So that way, when I do meet someone, if that does happen, I can really do it right this time.
And we'll be right back.
I love your acknowledgement that you have made decisions based in fear, because I think that we often overlook that and how that can impact so many important decisions that we make in life. You simply cannot make a good choice when you are afraid, you know? And so even getting yourself to a neutral, you know, instead of fear is a good thing.
Yeah.
So.
And it takes work to get to neutral.
Right.
It really does.
Are you in therapy at all, or have tried it, or?
So currently, no. And I will tell you guys, I need to be. I was in therapy right after my divorce. I was in therapy right before Who the F Did I Marry? But I felt like my therapist wasn't listening. Yeah. And that's what led me to being like, man, forget it. I'm gonna just tell my story, because I felt like there was this part of me that was like, I am not being heard. And so one TikTok video led to me just being like, okay, I'm gonna tell the story of what happened.
Wow. So not being heard by a therapist is part of what prompted you to. Okay.
Yeah, that stood out to me. And it was surprising, because I was wondering about your healing journey during that process. And to hear that a therapist, somebody that's supposed to hear you, understand you, help you heal, did not do that for you. You needed an outlet.
I absolutely needed an outlet. And I describe this series as like turning a faucet on, because once I started part like 1 through 5, that was it. It was like, I started feeling all this stuff that was very repressed. That's why, you know, when people watch the series, I'm sure that you can tell there are certain parts where it looked like, wow, I see it now and I'm like, man, I was heavy, and you can see it. Like I was feeling all kinds of emotions, but I was under no circumstances was I like, okay, I'm gonna just quit. Instead, it was like, get it out. And the more you got it out, the lighter you became. And so it was cathartic, but it was not easy. Yeah. It was not easy.
I'm curious, did you ever go back to that therapist in the middle of you recording this 50 Fridays?
And the thing is, I don't know if she saw it or not, but no, I never went back, because in some ways that TikTok became my therapy. Yeah. It really did. It was filmed in 3 days, but it became my 3-day therapy. All hours of the night, couldn't sleep, woke up, started recording. That's why I looked all kinds.
I love that. That was one of my favorite parts, because I was like, look, she's up. It's 2:00 in the morning. She's recording this, and I would be sitting there. I'd be sitting there at 2:00 in the morning reading. What's going on? That's crazy. Wow, I appreciate that. How do you feel like, other than, you know, having book deals and things like that, how has your life changed since you made the decision to share your story?
So life is different in terms of, I do put a bit of an expectation on myself, because you're recognized more. So in other words, I try to be very mindful, not only of what I put on social media, but just how I act, because, and I say this with love and admiration for the public, you would be surprised the people that film you. So it's almost like you need to always be on. Being on constantly drains your battery very quickly.
Yeah, exhausting.
So for me, my world right now is I still work my 9 to 5. I still shout out to my job.
I was gonna say where, but I think we talked about where you worked before.
I still work that same job. Yeah. And so a lot of that is on purpose because those people treat me like Teresa. They think it's cool. They all want a book, but they are like, that's just Teresa.
They know you. Yeah.
And so in that space, this is so weird because y'all, okay, so as Black women, we know in professional settings, you got to always be a certain way. Whew. One of the things that I have found in a weird way, I can be off at my job. Nice. in that safe space with people who know me, who I know they're not filming me. They're not, oh girl, I'm finna put on Facebook. Reesa Teesa said, no, it's none of that. It's just Teresa. But the biggest difference is you got to constantly be on. You really need to be mindful of how you carry yourself out in public because we do live in a cancel culture. We do live in people hold you to a higher standard, one that you didn't ask for, but this is reality. So I try to be mindful. And when I have days where I just cannot take it, honestly, I stay home.
Yeah.
I stay home.
Yeah.
What's the most like bizarre thing that's happened to you like in public, maybe from a fan or just being noticed as Reesa Teesa in public or something that was really like, okay, I was not expecting this to happen, but it did?
A real thing that happened that changed how I do stuff. I got picked up in an Uber from my house and the driver, a guy, before I could even really get in the car, turned around, took a picture and was like, I have got to show my wife that I had Reesa Teesa in the car, and this is where you live.
Wow.
Oh my God. So
also scary.
That was the last time. That was the last time I took an Uber.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's stuff like that, but nothing crazy. Nothing crazy. Just one of those moments that's like, yeah, you're going to have to get one of your family members to take you to the airport or something.
I'm curious if you've had any solicitations from men saying, I could do better than Lee.
Probably,
I have. Okay. And I very respectfully delete the email. Yeah.
Good idea.
I've had everything from solicitations to real threats. Yeah. Real threats, like kidnapping, kill your family threats. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's heavy. And for what?
Is. Right. Like, what did you do?
Nothing. It's social media. It's the beast.
Because the other beast that you talked about in the book is like all the negative comments from Black women calling you everything but your name. Like, what was it like to process that in real time? Because you're already dealing with judgment that you are putting on yourself, and then to hear other people verbalize that.
So what I said in the book is there was a lot of criticism from my sisters. But for every one criticism was like 5 Black women, keep your head up. So I want to be very, very clear that my biggest support has been the women that look like me, the women that look like all of us at this table. But then there were the ones that called me everything but a child of God. It took a huge hit on my mental health. It hit hard. It never dawned on me that someone in Minnesota who's never met me before, would say, she lying. She made the whole thing up. Look at her. Like, what made her think as a plus size woman, a VP would want her? Like, it never dawned on me that people would actually come at you like that. So my skin was paper thin at the time. It's thicker now, but it's full of cuts. But at the same time, it took, man, that was an ugly time because I'm already self-conscious. You know, I've always been plus size. It is what it is. I came out the womb at 9 pounds. Like I was a big baby. I was a big toddler. It is what it is. But it's another thing when you're scrolling on TikTok and every think piece or every video is your face. And one night, it was 3 hours, I went down a rabbit hole. And that's when my mother was like, give me your phone. Like, give me your phone. Because because it tore me apart. But at the same time, after I did Good Morning America the first time is when the tide turned. And that's when, I don't want to blame TikTok's algorithm, but it's very interesting how you see nothing but negative.
Yeah.
And then you'll see a positive and nothing but positive. Yeah. The positive was always there. It's just the negative was louder.
Right.
And so that's when I started getting the DMs, the videos of, girl, I'll never forget this one older lady. She had to be in her 60s. And she told me, she said, my grandbaby made me watch your series. She said, I'm so proud of you. And from that day forward, I was like, I don't even care what people call me. Because there is a generation of women who are like, we never would have been able to tell this story.
Right.
And we are proud of you for telling it.
I felt like one thing with your storytelling, we can say that you just had the inherent elements of a good story, for sure, just in what you were experiencing. But also I felt like you had good timing. You knew when to say, okay, I'm breaking and I'm going to come back to another part. So tell us a little bit about your journey as a content creator. Was it something you always wanted to do? Did you always kind of have this innate storytelling ability or desire inside of you?
So I'll answer that in two parts. Content creator, never.
Okay.
Never. As a matter of fact, what ended up happening was that I would drive. So we're all in Atlanta. I lived in Jonesboro, way past Terra Boulevard, like on the edge of Lovejoy. Yeah. And I would drive to Marietta. That's where I work. So
what a hike.
Yeah. So it was an hour and a half. Jeez. So to pass the time, I would go live on TikTok showing, like, the camera is facing, the highway, and I would just play music. I wouldn't talk too much because, people don't want to hear all that. So I'd have like, hey, y'all, my welcome in, I'm heading to work. Like, that's how I started getting a little bit of a following. By a little bit, I mean 500 people. But I was happy.
Yeah.
I was happy with my 500.
Right.
There was never a content creating part of me that was like, oh, this could turn into something. It was really just a way to not feel so lonely doing an hour and a half commute. Yeah. But by playing Beyonce, playing Taylor Swift, playing Goody Mob, I would have like Atlanta Fridays where I would only play Atlanta artists on Fridays and take requests while I'm driving down the highway. So in terms of content creating, never thought of that. Yeah. In terms of storytelling, my nickname was 11 Alive News as a kid. That was my nickname. If you said to little 7-year-old Teresa, what happened? Sit down. I'm going to tell you from A to Z. I'm going to add in accents. I'm going to add in, this is what he said. This is what he was wearing when he said it, mommy. And I'm going to tell you everything. I have always been a storyteller. I have always been dramatic. I was in drama school in middle and high school, but never thought about being a content creator. But if you ask me to tell you a story, oh, honey,
you're going to tell a story.
I'm going to tell a story now. I'm going to tell it.
I love it. What do you hope people will learn from your new book?
There's so many things I hope people learn.
There are lots of lessons embedded in that book.
Right.
One, I hope nobody feels like it was just them. Two, and I say this mostly to women, because I do think that we struggle with this a little bit more than men, but to the women out there who really, you're living a life you didn't see coming. You wanted, and I remember making a video about childless by circumstances versus by choice. I hope that this book says to them, you don't have to give up on it. At this age that you're at, the age that I'm at, let's just edit the dream. That's what I've been saying. Let's edit the dream to fit where we are now. And it doesn't mean that you don't deserve the dream you had. Let's just edit that dream a bit.
How has your happily ever after changed? How has the definition of that version of that phrase changed for you?
So for me, I value peace. This has been the first time in my life where I have peace because, again, working on the book, I didn't realize how much I had lived and was comfortable in chaos. I didn't realize how much fear and trauma were making my decisions what they were. So happily ever after, for me right now, it doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to have kids. I haven't quite accepted that just yet. Like, I'm just being honest. Now, if y'all bring me back in a year, that answer may be different. What I'm trying to figure out is What am I willing to accept? Am I willing to accept a life where you travel? You're the cool cousin, because I'm an only child, so I'm not the auntie. Mm-hmm. But you're the cool cousin who travels everywhere, lives her best life, but you are in fact doing it alone. You're still great, you're fabulous, but you are doing it single. Are you okay with that? Are you okay with maybe your happily ever after does include a husband, but not children? So the most honest answer I can give you, I'm still trying to figure out what happily ever after means in this stage of my life.
I just appreciate this I'm in the middle of figuring it out conversation, because I feel like a lot of times we have these talks once we've arrived and we can kind of reflect on the lessons we've learned. But to do it in real time feels more honest and more authentic and probably more true to where people are right now in their journey. I don't know if I've ever felt like I've arrived.
But also, like, what does it mean to arrive?
Yeah.
Because when you get to the arrival point, what's next?
Right.
Exactly.
Life goes on, right? So there has to always be an editing. You have to always be thinking about where are we going?
And that's what I'm trying to do is my goal for this book was to keep it real. Even if it's ugly. Like, after a 50-part series with a rag on your head and you crying 3 different wigs, you can go ahead and keep it real. Like, you can go ahead and say, these are the things that I have learned, the people who call me desperate. And I admit that there were parts where I was desperate. I really, really wanted what I wanted. And I feel like desperation has many different faces. It's not always loud. You know what I mean? Sometimes it is very quiet, turning your head when you shouldn't. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, I can honestly say I wrote a book that the younger version of me would be proud of, and the older version of me will still be able to stand on.
I feel like you can see through that very easily. Like, I read a lot of memoirs. I know this is more self-help, but it's combination kind of. And you can tell immediately when people are being honest and when they're not. So, and I think you did a great job of really just being vulnerable and putting it out there.
Thank you.
Yeah. And one last question before we let you go. How are you so ATL? I know you're from New Jersey originally, but you've been here most of your life, right?
Since I was 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how would you say, like, you're so ATL?
So someone told me, I went to Essence, and a lady from Atlanta said, you're allowed to claim Atlanta. You're allowed to claim Georgia because you did elementary, middle school, high school, and college here.
That's fair.
So I was like, okay, that's how I'm gonna claim it, because all my student loans say that she is. No, I ain't no place like Atlanta, Georgia.
Right.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing like. And this is the part that trips me out when I see people who probably are not from Atlanta, but they have filmed themselves driving up I-75 and they see the NCR building and they tag me in the video. I'm like, man, everybody know about the NCR building.
Right. Exactly.
They need to give you a check.
And then behind it is a strip club.
Yeah, right.
So yeah.
Well, we appreciate your time and your authenticity and your vulnerability.
Thank y'all for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, so before we let you guys go, it is time for Rent Free, where we talk about a story that is taking up real estate in our minds. And sad as I am to admit it and acknowledge it publicly, I have been addicted to Married at First Sight season 20, the only season I've ever watched, honestly. This takes place in Seattle with 7 couples who marry at first sight and may stay married or may not. And I kind of got caught up in this when I saw clips on social media of a couple by the name of Sean and is it Sean? Yeah. And Nikki. And they are one of the black couples on the show. And boy, I mean, I don't want to disparage the talents of Paul Brunson and Dr. Lisa Paz, who are the matchmakers on the show. But how in the heck did they put these 2 people together? I do not understand it. I don't understand. Anyway, so, I've been keeping up with the show, watching, and that has been my reason for watching, honestly. I'm not going to lie, because I cannot wait to see what happens with that particular couple.
please say more about the clip. What did you see that really caught your attention?
I think we talked about this.
Well, we've all seen briefly. The viral clip of their wedding as Nikki is walking down the aisle and meets, Sean for the first time as he's meeting her for the first time. She says something like, "Oh, am I supposed to stand here for my husband or something?"
She's like, "Where is he?"
Like, she looks confused as if she doesn't think that that's him. And it's like, and then her face, she does not have a poker face at all. Her face tells it all.
Right.
And just looks like she'd just rather be somewhere else. But eventually, like in her vows, it seemed like she just settled and just said, "Okay, well, I'm a sapiosexual, blah, 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 blah." I'm like,
And the way he just kind of didn't acknowledge her reaction was also telling to me, because I'm like, well, we see how this is about to go from the start. Yeah. But anyway, what are your thoughts, Nasha? Do you have a couple that you've been following their story closely?
Definitely Sean and Nikki. I've been watching Married at First Sight for a few years. I got into the show during the pandemic because all I had was time. So I was catching up. And the matchmakers are new this season. I'm not sure if you knew.
Well.
And I don't know if... I feel like lately... the show hasn't produced a couple that stayed together for the long run.
I did go back and look that up.
That does make me sad.
Yeah.
So, Nikki and Sean definitely stand out to me. I feel like they are both competing to be something in the relationship. I feel like
that's what you think the problem is?
Well, I know she ain't attracted to this man.
Okay,
I think that's the main problem.
And I'm like, why are we pretending? Like, you can't, I don't know. I mean, whatever. Go ahead.
I mean, and I think also his background in education and him being brilliant and excellent and a high achiever, the way he approaches the relationship is almost through that lens. There's like
very academic.
Yeah. And I'm just like, well, that ain't gonna help with the
but also, like, to
attraction.
me, I don't think
it's
and
possible.
y'all can fight me on this, but I do not think that you can create physical attraction out of nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
If it's not there, it's not there.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I've only watched 2 episodes this season. And I don't think I'll complete the rest of the season. I only watched it to prepare for this segment because I don't agree with the premise of the whole thing. Like, I don't believe in marriage at first sight. Don't believe that love is blind. Don't believe that you can find the love of your life on an island in Fiji. But I do empathize with the necessity of enduring like these drastic measures to find love, because I do think that romantic love is partially an outcome of luck. And some people just aren't lucky. And I think that's a harsh reality, but I think that's something that this is why people are going on shows like this, because it's hard. And like, I'm kind of like one of the unlucky ones too. Like, people just aren't lucky.
I for sure agree with the idea of it being luck, because I think, you can, and I feel like that is why people do stuff like this, because they're trying to increase the odds of their luck. Right. And it's, I think we have a very romanticized view of finding a person and it's going to be your forever person. And we think it's easy.
It's not a romantic comedy starring Jennifer Lopez. It's
right.
Not
Life
like
is
that.
not that. Yes. But it's hard. I think it's really hard. So, and how about the one person who was like, I don't know the difference between love and like. And I was like, what the hell are you doing on this show?
Maybe you should start there.
You should start with that before you get married.
Well, y'all gonna have to let me know what happens, because I won't be watching, but I'll, let me know.
And they usually have a reunion show too, so there'll be a lot to report back on.
There will. Yeah.
Well, that's all we have time for today. I was trying to think of something witty, but I just could not. So
some couples should be saying goodbye.
Yes, right. Speaking of goodbye.
Yeah, and they will. They will. So until next time, y'all. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to It's UATL. UATL is a source for Black culture and community in Atlanta, powered by the Atlanta Journal-Constitution and its supporters. The show is hosted by Nedra Roan, Deasia Page, and me, Naja Parker.
If you liked the episode, be sure to follow us and leave us a rating and review. It really helps. It's UATL wouldn't be possible without our lead producer, Isabel Kirby McGowan, and producer Kara Schillen. Extra support from Ron Williams. Our executive producer is Gavin Godfrey. Megan Nadolski is our senior producer, and Samantha Stamler is the head of audio.
Special thanks to Janelle Davis, the managing editor of UATL for the AJC. Want more UATL? Be sure to join the community at uatl.com. See you next week.